Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. I welcome you to a groundbreaking exploration that will challenge everything you thought you knew about American history. Now, for centuries, we've been taught a narrative that has been shrouded in mystery and misinformation. But today, we are going to uncover the truth about the original Americans. So join me as we take a look into a fascinating journey guided by a remarkable lady who shares her extensive knowledge on the subject. Now, you will discover that the land we now call America was once known as Terra Asarat, and that the first inhabitants spoke Hebrew, leaving behind a trail of artifacts and inscriptions that tell a story far different from the one we've been taught. From the Moorish explorers who navigated the waters from Europe to the symbolism of the buffalo representing the 10 tribes of Israel, this video will take you on a captivating adventure through hidden history. So make sure to watch this video until the very end as we uncover the secrets of Reciets, the place of the cross, and the meeting of two sticks. So get ready to have your mind expanded and your understanding of American history forever changed. With that said, let's take a look at this video. I will be right back.
That this land was originally called Terra Asarat, and that the first people here spoke Hebrew. And we can see it written on these stones and some of their artifacts. This is all written in Hebrew, and you see the person with the afro. We understand that the first blacks to come here came from Europe, and they were the Moors. They were the only ones who knew how to navigate against the current of the waters from Europe. And the reason they were brought to communicate with the people here was because they also spoke Hebrew. We learned that the tribes here were represented by the buffalo, which is the symbol of the 10 tribes of Israel that were lined up behind Ephraim. And in scripture, they are often called Israel or Ephraim, symbolizing the 10 tribes separate from Judah and Benjamin. We also learned that this land was called Eretz Asareth, which means time out of mind, final end, place of the cross, place of the meeting of two sticks. And according to 2nd Ezra 13:40, about 2,700 years ago, the 10 tribes of Israel went east from the Euphrates River for a year and a half and crossed over the waters to arrive in a country where no man dwelt, where never any mankind dwelt. And according to Chief Warhorse, this land, North, Central, and South America, was given to her people, the 10 tribes of Israel, around 700 BC. By Yah, or what the 10 tribes call Yah, or God, what pagans call God, the creator of the universe. We also learned that Abraham, the father of Israel, was promised that he should know for a surety that his descendants should be sojourners in a land that was not theirs and would serve them, and they would be afflicted for 400 years. And that nation which his children would serve, the creator of the earth would judge, and afterwards they'd come out with great possessions. So they would not necessarily be rich in this land, but they would leave to return to their homeland with many possessions after serving. But Abraham would go to his fathers in peace, and in the 4th generation, all 12 tribes of Israel, should come out of the land and return to Israel when the iniquity of the Amorites was completed, because it wasn't yet complete. We also learned that Israel was not in Egypt for 400 years, but in the land of Canaan and in the land of the Egyptians for 430 years. We learned that Joseph ruled in Egypt for 70 years, and so it was really only for 215 years that the Israelites were in bondage to the Egyptians. And at that time, there was a Pharaoh who did not know Israel, and he was actually an Amorite. So the same iniquity of the Amorites that took place in Egypt had yet to be fulfilled elsewhere at another time. And And so we learned who the Amorites are. We learned that the Amorites were of the land of Canaan, somewhat related to the Canaanites, and that America was named after Amerigo Vespuccio, who was a descendant of the Amorites, which descends from the word Amaru, Amorite, Ameritu, or America. And so we learned that this land, America, is named after the Amorites and the Canaanites. The Amorites had put Israel into multiple captivities through the Assyrians, through the Babylonians, through the Egyptians, through the Medo-Persians. They had enslaved Israel multiple times, and even in Roman and Greek captivity. The Canaanites are Hamites, and one of the sons, the wives of Judah, was actually a Canaanite. So we're not prejudiced against the Canaanites. But the Amorites are something of a different people. Judah and Ephraim. And again, Ephraim is symbolized by the ox, and we learn that Judah is symbolized by the lion, and that Ephraim sat on the west side of the camp and Judah on the east. So when it came time for the two to unite, Judah would come from the east to the west, and Ephraim would be in the west. So Judah would come from Africa in the east and be in that land, and Ephraim would be in the west. We also saw that the indigenous people of North and South and Central America had similar clothing and headdresses to the West Africans and the Black Moors of Europe. So the people of the land in North America wore headbands and turbans, so their crown of their head would be exposed to the sky to be open to minister to their creator named Yah or Yahweh. The Shafungta wore 4 tassels around their neck pieces because it was very typical and according to scripture for tribal leaders of the 12 tribes to wear 4 tassels. It was actually a commandment from the creator. And it was the same with the West Africans who came from a land called the Slave Coast. It was literally, here you can see it, called Judea. Judea, the Slave Coast. And that's what the Europeans called it, because it was the land of the Yahudis, the Yahudim. We also remembered and learned that Yah said he would hide his people and scatter them into the corners and make remembrance of them to cease from among men. And he would even cause Israel to forget who they were. So here you can see the breastplate that the priests of the Ashanti tribe wore in West Africa. And you can see the turbans that they wore. And then here we see the turbans that the 10 tribes of North, Central, and South America wore also on their heads, the similar clothing and dress. And we also saw that the cities were circular cities in South Africa, in Benin, the West African Empire, and also in a lot of these empires in North America, and in particular the Shafungta's cities, mound cities, which were hidden, were round. Some of the cities were configured in rectangles and had pyramid-like structures, harkening back to Egyptian times, but for the most part, the original design was a round city.
I think Alex Haley gave to those black communities something to reach for when he did Roots. And they figured, well, if he went and found his way back, I'm gonna go find my way back. Y'all know how many years black folks been trying to find their village in Africa since Roots? You know how many people done died and haven't found their roots? Maybe your roots wasn't over there. Maybe your roots is over here. Do this make sense? Maybe you're looking in the wrong place. and it becomes frustrating at a point. And you're always looking at these young people out here telling they stealing and they doing this. No, they trying to figure why, no matter where I go, I'm under a curse, look like, of blackness. And I can't get the black off. Well, I want to tell them, don't get the black off. Stop trying to quack. Begin to cluck. How you cluck? What we doing today? We're trying to teach you to stop looking in the wrong places. What I'm trying to say is, instead of trying to get to Africa, let's find, if you're a Creole, I'll give you a challenge. Find where your one drop Indian blood come from. Because the white man counted everybody out on a one drop black blood. Right?
Now, according to research, there is Hebrew evidence in North America. There are so many connections with the ancient Jewish people in the tribe of Judah here in the United States of America. We know Hebrew roots are all over the United States in the writings of amazing historians. Many connect the Hebrews in the USA from 1000 BC to 400 AD, and many say the Native Americans speak of an earlier time where palm-colored people were a great culture before them. Now, writing in 1851, E.G. Square says that in the region, human bones of men, women, and children of both sexes were thrown together promiscuously by the thousands. He notes large quantities of pottery, pipes, flint arrowheads, stone hatchets, and other implements were also found there. He further states that the ancient relics unearthed in the vicinity, which he estimates to be several hundred years old, showed considerable evidence of Hebrew origin. Now, there has been a lot of talk from intellectuals about various hoaxes purported to be associated with ancient Hebrew stones and script found in North America. It makes sense that when Lehi landed in North America, he and his culture would have left behind evidence of his Jewish and Israelite heritage. Since nothing has been found in South and Central America, the intellectuals want to condemn anything that may have been found in North America. Of the 8 to 10 evidences found in North America related to Hebrew, the scholars refute all of them as hoaxes. Now, that seems way too easy to just out of hand condemn any evidence. That's what people do when they can't explain things. Today's science is not engaged in finding new things, but in finding new pet theories. Now, since no new scientific law has been discovered and proven in over 100 years, the scientists are now propping up their new theories as if they are true. Take, for example, the theory of evolution. Last time I heard, it is still a theory and has never been proven to be a law. What about the theory of magma in the center of the earth? It has been shown in Dean Sessions' book that it is more likely that water is at the center of the earth. I'm not a scientist, but just an ordinary person who likes to have science and history just makes sense. What about the intellectuals that say Noah's flood was not universal or was a myth? What about those who say Adam was not the first man created on this earth? I would rather ask the simple question of, does it make common sense rather than listen to many intellectuals who claim to know the unknown? Clues connect Native Americans and ancient Hebrew Jews. In an era of clues becoming unraveled daily about our human origins and ethnic ancestry, it's important to bring up research that has lately been swept under the rug. Now, this is a topic that requires patience and attention to get an honest understanding. Now, there is a special relationship cloaked under a blanket of misinformation between the nation of Israel and the North American Indian. Over 4 centuries ago, 400 years, it was widely theorized that the indigenous peoples of the New World were part of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. The unique relationship that is uncovered is shockingly similar. There is certain evidence that should be presented, and it will arguably be pushed back against by some individuals as well. Let's start by certain similarities in religious understanding that God indeed created the world and also came down to destroy civilization. Now, archaeologist Ron Waite explains, the Aztec nation located in southern Mexico claimed they had lived somewhere in northwestern Mexico or the southwestern US for over 1,000 years, before migrating south sometime in the 1000s. Most of our knowledge of these people comes from the Aztec sacred books known as codices, which were kept in their temples and which the native Aztec historians used when they wrote their chronicles. In the first half of the 1500s, the Aztec chieftain wrote Relations, a history relating the archives of his family and the ancient writings of his Aztec nation. He claims they were descendants to the Toltecs, who had passed down the following tale. In this account, the chieftain presents the most complete and accurate account of the flood and events at Babel that have ever been found in any ancient civilization other than the biblical account. It is found in the histories of the Toltecs that this age and first world, as they call it, lasted 17-16 years, that men were destroyed by tremendous rains and lightning from the sky, and even all the land without the exception of anything, and the highest mountains were covered up and submerged in water. Translated to read 15 cubits, and here they added other fables of how men came to multiply from the few who escaped from this destruction in Toplipetlokali, that this word nearly signifies a closed chest, and how after men had multiplied, they erected a very high Zakwali, which is today a tower of great height, in order to take refuge in it should the second world age be destroyed. Presently, their languages were confused, and not being able to understand each other, they went to different parts of the earth. Now, the Los Lunas inscription is an abridged version of the Decalogue or 10 Commandments carved into the flat face of a large border resting on the side of Hidden Mountain near Los Luna, near Mexico, about 35 miles south of Albuquerque. Now, the language is Hebrew, and the script is Old Hebrew alphabet with a few Greek letters mixed in. The stone was found originally in the 1880s. In 1996, Professor James D. Taba of the Department of Religious Studies, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, interviewed the late Professor Frank Heben, 1910 to 2002, a retired University of New Mexico archaeologist, who is convinced that the inscription is ancient and thus authentic. He reports that he first saw the text in 1933. At the time, it was covered with lichen and patination and was hardly visible. He was taken to the site by a guide who had seen it as a boy back in 1880s. At present, the inscription itself is badly chalked and scrubbed up. However, Morehouse compares the surviving weathering on the inscription to that on a nearby modern graffito dating itself to 1930. He concludes that the Decalogue inscription is clearly many times older than the graffito, and that 500 to 2,000 years would not be an unreasonable estimate of its age. Now, the inscription uses Greek tau, zeta, delta, eta, and kappa, reversed in place of their Hebrew counterparts, to, zayin, daleth, heth, and kaf, indicating a Greek influence as well as a post-Alexandrian date, despite the archaic form of aleph used. The letters and the flat-bottomed shin have a distinctively Samaritan form, suggesting that the inscription may be Samaritan in origin. Now, the age-old question of who are the original Americans, it's a topic of much debate and discussion, with various groups and individuals staking their claims. However, as I listened to this lady share her insights, I couldn't help but feel a sense of resonance and truth. What struck me most was the depth of her knowledge and the clarity with which she presented her arguments. She spoke of the ancient Hebrew presence in America, of the inscriptions and artifacts that bear witness to this history, and of the Moorish explorers who navigated the waters to reach these shores. Now, as she wove together the threads of this narrative, I found myself nodding in agreement, recognizing the echoes of a history that has been hidden, distorted, or erased. Her words resonated with the work of other researchers and scholars who have similarly uncovered the presence of ancient civilizations in America. Now, what's more, her emphasis on the importance of understanding our true history and the ways in which it has been manipulated and distorted is a crucial reminder of the power of knowledge and the need for critical thinking. Of course, there will be those who dispute and dismiss her claims, who cling to their dominant narratives and reject any alternatives. But for those of us who are willing to listen, to learn, those words offer a profound and empowering truth. We have finally come to the end of the video. Share your thoughts, your views, your contributions as well in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.